there's only three things that are going to dictate a different tomorrow. Okay. You got your pen or pencil handy? I'll wait. Okay.
Get it now.
Yeah, get it out.
Everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. But the question becomes, how do you push past that fear, the insecurity, and honestly, that anxiety to get to that spot? Russell B. Hill, yes, you got to include that B. The B in Russell B. Hill, co-founder, managing partner of Fixed Ops Marketing. And you got to remember, he is the host or co-host, we'll say that as well. We cannot forget Charity in that part.
That's right.
But the WTF, and you're probably thinking to yourself, whoa, what did you say, Brooke? Yeah, WTF, What the Fixed Op podcast, and the Guts co-host and podcast all at the same time. He's also that as well, is joining me today on Facts Not Feelings to share how he is excavating his purpose and overcoming paralyzing fears and taking bold risks to enabling to thrive how he's done that personally to grow his automotive marketing firm. So tune into this motivational strategies to live life full out. Oh my goodness. Welcome in, Russell. I'm so excited right now to drop this conversation with you. I was on your episode recently on your show, and I cannot wait to jump into this and this discussion today about pushing past our comfort zones, jumping into this and going past those fears and those limitations. So let's just jump right into this. You know how this works. You are a longtime listener. I love seeing all the comments that you throw in. They're so insightful. So let's just dive right into this. So
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. So excited for this. All right. So how did you first discover your sense of purpose, and what did it take to achieve that life and business, and business? And what was that like aha moment for you?
Yeah, I had an amazing aha moment. I think a lot of people do. I think they're reluctant to share sometimes. I was that way as well for a long time, but it's all about the story, right, Brooke? And
yes.
It really is. So when we get on and we're talking to people, because I do podcasts like you, and it's like not just business, but what is the origin? What is the aha? Was there a fork in the road? Was there a defining moment? For me, there was. And that was there's two important dates in my life: the day I was born and the day I understood why I was born. And that was December 1st, 1994. I was 34 years old. I was, there's two kinds of people in the world. They're dream makers and dream takers. And I was a taker. I consumed everything: people, places, things. I was a horrible addiction to drugs and alcohol for many, 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 many years. If there was any shortcut, I would take it. If there's any way to screw somebody over, I would do that. That's how I lived my life. And I had tried many times through treatment programs, and I paid some heavy prices. Maybe we'll get off into a little bit of that later on, but I paid some heavy prices. This last time, however, I was ready to end it. I had a knife in my hand, and some of this will be in my book because I'm doing a book as well. But I grew up in the church. I've always believed in something greater than myself, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. It's personal. I get it. But I was ready to end it all. And I got down on my knees and I prayed again. Of course, all the other times I prayed, I made deals. Well, if you just do this, then I'll do that, that kind of thing. This time, in this particular moment, I think I maybe even had a slight heart attack. I had some major health concerns going on at the time. I'm like 34 years old. Give me a break. The drug addiction was so bad. And the best way to describe it is I had a burning bush experience. I can't explain what happened, but I can tell you that the obsession for drugs and alcohol was completely removed. I wasn't high or drunk anymore. And I picked up the phone to call my father, who'd completely disowned me years before. He picked up the phone, which was rather unusual. And I told him again, Dad, I need to go to Sherman, Texas, to this particular program. I'm going to die if I don't. And he picked me up, took me up there. I've been clean and sober ever since. That's 28 years, 10 months, and 3 days that I've been clean and sober. Not a single drink, not a single drug. That's what started my trajectory and my new way of life that ended me up right here, right now in this moment with Brooke.
Wow, Russell, I Like, I knew that it had been a while. I did not know that exact story. And you talk about origin stories, you talk about being where you are. That is an incredible story. And talk about, like, we'll have fun on the show, and that just got serious real quick. Like
Well,
I just thank you for sharing that story. And for those out there that are struggling and thinking the fear and the anxiety and pushing past that, I mean, it's just wow. Thank you.
and
Thank
there
you.
was in that moment, something changed, and I recognize it when I'm dealing with people today. There was a complete and utter surrender. It wasn't a religious thing. I'm not a religious guy. I am, however, a very spiritual guy. But in this moment, I ceased fighting everybody and everything, and I realized in that moment that everything up until that moment that I created by the choices I made. And so there's no more cop outs. It's not my dad's fault. It's not the police's fault. It's not the, Democrats or Republicans' fault. It's nobody's fault but me. And if things were going to change, then I was going to have to change. And that set me off in a completely different trajectory. So it's amazing.
So you talk about comfort zones. I mean, talk about going from something that you'd lived a good chunk of your life and
Yes.
then be like, okay, now I'm going to, like, to your sense, saying surrender. And to take this, I'll take there's no good segue here to go from that into like comfort zones into work and all
Right.
that. But to share an example of pushing yourself outside of comfort, I mean, that's exactly what you did. And I'll say to grow even, not that you can grow more from that, but you definitely have done that in your work and in life and everything in between. I'll say, like, you said what you learned about it's no one else's fault. I want to say if you can take that a little bit further into what else you learned with that and to share with the audience a little bit more about that.
I think it's really important to stay in your lane and run your own race and to own everything that's happening. I learned a lot about I've learned so much about relationships, about how to deal with people. Shortly after that, I got into a 12-step program again. I've known about 12-step programs all my life. I've been in and out, in and out, in and out of them. But I decided this time I was going to actually do the work. I mean, I had to. It wasn't just, I had that aha moment, but I needed to continue to do something or it would be failed long-term because it always has. However, I didn't have this particular thing. So I met this guy and I was in the car business. I got in the car business in 1985, started selling cars. And then after this little hiatus, I decided that I had 5 felony convictions and spent a lot of time behind bars. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons I should have never made it. And I realized at this moment that my entire life, I surrounded myself with people who said, you can't do that. I tried that and that won't work. And I realized that 95% of the population gets their information from the same 95% of the population that has less than what they have. And they wonder why they don't have anymore. You're listening to the wrong people.
Good into a new room, please.
Right. And so I met this guy who remained nameless, and he was a multi-millionaire, and I tapped him on the shoulder, which I didn't think you could do that kind of stuff, but I did it. And I said, hey, I'd like to take you to lunch and ask you about your life and how you got here. And I did. He said, yes, I did. Sat down with him and we're talking, getting to know each other. And he looked at me and said, Russell, are you willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do so you can have and become the things that most people will never have and never become? What are you willing to do? And I said, anything. And I knew it was all, legal, moral, and ethical. Listen, I didn't have anything he wanted. He had what I wanted. And so the very first thing he did, he said, I'm going to give you a book and I want you to read 15 minutes a day, not 15 and a half, not 14 and a half. Don't finish the paragraph. Don't finish the page. You stop at 15 minutes. And if you'll do this, I'll continue to meet with you and I'm going to make a lot of suggestions, all of which are going to be extremely uncomfortable for you. And you might back up and say you don't want to do it. And if you do, that's the end of our relationship and I'm not going to work with you anymore. And so he gave me a book on Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And within 6 months, my life started to really transform. And it set me on an insatiable quest I got 4 or 5 books on my desk right now. Ogden Vito, The Greatest Salesman in the World. Life is Tremendous by Charles Tremendous Jones, Think and Grow Rich, on and on and on, that set me on a trajectory and it completely changed my life in addition to the work that I was doing with this 12-step program. And I realized in that moment So I'm surrounded, all of us are surrounded by our family, our friends, our work associates, social gatherings, churches, or we're all surrounded. All of us are surrounded. Everything. My son said, I got to digress for a minute. My son said, Dad, how do you know if you're making the right decision? And I said, well, let me think about that for a minute. What do you mean by that? He said, well, you always seem to make the right decisions. And I said, well, thank you very much. That's not the case, but thank you. He said, no, really. You always seem to have these real simple formulas. And I said, okay, here's what it is. We're surrounded by people. Every decision we make involves people. Okay. And so if other people benefit and I benefit, it's usually the right decision. If I benefit at the expense of those people, it's usually the wrong decisions. Pretty simple.
Yep.
And then I realized with all these people I'm surrounded by, with this gentleman I was working at, it looked like I was alienating some people in my life, which really wasn't the case. So I stepped way out because he taught me that I'm not talking about being comfortable, Russ. I'm talking about what is it that you want. He helped me define my dream and what it was that I wanted to get. And so he laid a course for me to do that. And it meant stepping way outside. He said, there's two kinds of fear of what you know and fear of what you don't know. And when you step outside, let me tell you what's going to happen. The people around you are going to say, you can't do that. I tried that. That won't work and has nothing to do with you. I'm going to tell you that right now. It has everything to do with them because they see you taking some risk and stepping way out and maybe falling or failing, which is just the first attempt in learning. And they're going to try to pull you back in because you disrupted their comfort zone. And that started this reading trajectory and being involved and mentoring people and et cetera, et cetera.
And there's so many things to like take away from what you just said there. And one thing in particular is when you go with like the 12-step program, anyone knows somebody that's been through any type of addiction or has anyone, it hits home for so many reasons. And when you go through those steps, or you know someone has went through those steps, and there may be those unsuccessful attempts at it. And as you know, more than most, and is that I've had this conversation and I ask, okay, but why is this time going to be any different? Why are you doing this? Are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for somebody else? Why are you checking yourself into rehab this time? And if the answer is, have you hit rock bottom this time? And when I hear the response of, hey, I'm doing it because I feel like it's back to facts, not feelings here, but I'm doing it because so-and-so told me to, or I did it because I'm trying to save a marriage, or I'm trying to do it because this is the right thing to do. Well,
doesn't work.
That doesn't work because you haven't hit rock bottom. Yeah. And for those that are listening that addiction has hit your family or your loved ones or your friends and family, whatever it may be, until you may feel as the outsider that they have hit rock bottom, they haven't.
It's affected everybody. Everybody that I know, everybody that you know, directly or indirectly, is touched by some sort of addiction, alcohol or drugs. It permeates every aspect of our society. And unfortunately, here's the numbers I'm going to throw out. 85% of the people that try to get this don't get it. They keep going back out, relapsing over and over and over again. And there's two primary reasons that people go out over and over and over again: secrets and resentments. Those are the two biggest things, because I had to deal with going back and filtering through the trash can all the way back to my earliest memories where some of this behavior actually started. It wasn't my parents' fault, but I blame them.
Yep.
They did the very best they could. I grew up in an upper middle class, extremely successful, father climbing that ladder of success, and I blew it. Didn't even go to high school. Yeah, it touches everybody, and you got to really want it. I hit bottom. I hit bottom.
That's so. I want to take this is to those that are struggling and they're thinking to themselves, okay, that's maybe I don't fit into this. Oh, okay, I'm not struggling with the addiction, or I'm not. I'm just the fear is paralyzing me, and the uncertainty is paralyzing me. So whether I'm looking for the new ventures or the opportunities, what advice do you have to them? Because they're really just stuck. Like I know that I get this question all the time. I know that you get this question all the time. So how? Though the audience members out there, those listeners out there, that they're just stuck, whether it's they're trying to go for the entrepreneurship or they're just looking for in general life in general, ventures in general, what is your advice to them when they're just stuck in that paralyzing fear?
It's important. I look at everybody as a fruit tree. And what I mean by that, if the branches are bare, au contraire, I don't go there. Not everybody has all the answers. I have people that are go-to people in relationships and finances. I mean, I blew it on finances. They never taught me that in school. Most of you, they never taught it to you either. What they taught us to do is trade time for money. They never taught us how to make money work for us. They taught us how to work for it. And, things of that nature. That's what really impacted my life. And I found people that had something I wanted. Let me give you an example. I'm not saying the Cadillac is what I wanted, but I had this old beat up car, and this mentor said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Okay. I want you to go to the Cadillac store, and the car that you want, I want you to drive it. No. I can't do that. I'm in the automotive business. No, I can't do that. He said, yeah, you can. I want you to drive. It's very uncomfortable when you show up at a dealership, it's not your house, it's their house, etc. You get in this car, you got that steel smell, you're afraid something's going to happen. All the senses are heightened, etc. You emotionally, if I could have bought it, I would have, because people buy an emotion. But he said, I want you to drive it and get so comfortable with it that you become uncomfortable getting back in your car. Those are just some of the examples of what I was taught early on that helped me go to the next level. And I kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm not afraid to fail. I get paralyzed sometimes. I overthink stuff sometimes. I have obsessive compulsive tendencies sometimes about what I want and how I get it. And I'll either read a book, or I'll listen to something that'll calm me down, or I'll whip out a prayer. Prayer is the most powerful tool in my arsenal today. But I surround myself with people. It's really amazing that people that have time don't seem to get anything done, and people that don't have time make time for the things that are important for them. You know what I mean? They got busy schedules. They learn how to adapt and overcome, but I wanted what was in the other side. So when I crossed this threshold into the unknown, so we're so comfortable staying in our own lane, and not taking risk, that even though we know decisions we make have consequences, we know what the consequences are, and we're okay with them, even though they're going to be dire. But to walk through unknown and not knowing what's on the other side, it's powerful. But here's what I found, and it holds true for every one of you listening. If you'll find somebody that'll mentor you and you walk through that other side, I'm telling you, the person or people on the other side are waiting for you right now. They don't know you and you don't know them, but they're waiting for you, because they're going to say, hey, I like you. I trust you. I believe you. Let me introduce you to this person, that person. And then so starts the networking, and it's transformative.
Amen.
Who would have thought I would have been where I'm at today with all the things I've gone through? So I don't like a lot of excuses why people don't get stuff done. I don't like when people are saying, well, if I coulda, shoulda, woulda, hey, when they start deflecting and saying, well, it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. That's the sign of maturity in a man or woman that I'm talking to today. When they own their own shit, I know they're real people.
Agreed. That's like such a pet peeve of mine. It's massive for me when I start to hear the excuses pile up. And to your point, it is a maturity thing, and also there's just a lot of things that roll into it. Like, I understand everyone has given the same amount of time in a day, and some people can work a lot of hours a day and accomplish little, and some people work a little time and get a lot done. And sometimes it's like, hey, I just need a break. That's great. It's just when I start to hear the excuses pile up, it's like, man, but really? So what? When someone doesn't get back to you, not only does that tell you where you sit in the priority scale, that tells you the no answer is an answer. It's the same thing. I did it. This is like really early on in the podcasting days, when also I didn't know what I was doing. But I did an episode about a no decision is a decision. And I can't remember. I heard the story. It was when I was very young, but I think it was a Coco pilot. And he has decision, his plane is going down, and he's like, oh, I can't make a decision. So his plane is plummeting. Well, your no decision to not pull up is a decision. So your indecisiveness to not pull up and crash the plane is your decision to not pull up.
It's so simple.
It really is. So when someone, whether it's a prospect, whether it's a client, whether it's you decide not to make that phone call, and your indecisiveness, that is your decision. So often we get stuck in this paralyzing fear not to make a decision.
Yep.
that is your decision.
Yep.
And your indecisiveness is going to ruin you, to be quite honest.
It won't.
Yeah.
People ask me, they say, Russell, how did you get where you're at today with all the obstacles you had to overcome? Everybody's got obstacles. Okay. I'm just being a little transparent with mine. And I think it's important to do that because some of you out there are struggling. You said, hey, and you hear something that really resonates. Well, pick up the phone and call me, because I work with a lot of people in recovery in a lot of different areas up to a certain point, and then I'll hand them off to somebody else. But so look, the definition of sanity is keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. We all hear that. Everybody hears that all day long, every day. It's an AA thing, an NA thing. Who knows? It's been around forever. But here's the thing. There's only 3 things that'll make a difference tomorrow. We know the greatest predictor of future behavior is previous behavior. We know that. There's only 3 things that are going to dictate a different tomorrow. Okay. You got your pen or pencil handy? I'll wait. Okay.
Get it now.
Yeah, get it out. Here's 3 things you got to do if you want a different tomorrow. Change who you associate with, what you read, and what you listen to. Those 3 things. Input dictates output, because right now, Brooke, you and I are sum total of everything we've ever seen, heard, read, and done up until this very moment.
Yep.
And if we don't input new information, then we're going to have all that same stuff, and the output will be the same tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And then you're wondering, you got to step on out there, read something, listen to something, and change who you're associating with. You need to look for people that have something you want. Ask them. Brooke, if people ask you, they ask me, it's okay. Ask us. I'll be more than happy to work with you.
Yeah.
I get real, they call me an AA bully sometimes because of how I work with people. When people come up and ask me to sponsor, mentor, be their spiritual advisor, whatever the case may be, all I do is share my experience, strength, and hope of what worked for me. So I initiate 3 things with them. I ask them to do 3 things. And if you can't do it, don't call me anymore. Find another sponsor. Well, but hey, no. Look, there's nothing. Your best thinking got you where you're at right now. Okay. I'm going to help you get to where I got by understanding what I went through to get here. I'm going to show you how to do that step by step by step, but you got to want it. And the first time that you don't want it, I'm done. Find another sponsor. This is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it will end your life.
Amen. Amen. And that's the thing, is that in whether it's our industry, I know obviously this is a show that's obviously automotive driven. I get that.
We'll get into that too.
It is automotive, but I say that to be is that it doesn't matter what industry you are. There are so many people out there that all you got to do is pick up the phone, send a text message, send a LinkedIn message, whatever it may be. And there are so many people that are just willing to help. And it may be that, because going back to a comment you made at the very beginning here about 95% of the people are listening to this, 95 are the same people.
Right.
Get out of the damn echo chamber and listen to somebody else. Is that we're just regurgitating the same freaking information. That just get out of that echo chamber and listen to somebody else. Is that you're hearing the same thing over and over again. And I just said the same thing over and over again, but pick up the phone and listen to somebody else that may have a different spin on something else. We're so afraid that, like, oh, well, that person over there looks like a big star. They're just a talking head. Well, I'm sorry. Screw that. Listen to some. What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you reached out to someone that you thought was a bigwig or someone else that they might not answer you? Oh, try it.
Yeah.
Reach out to somebody. Like, you and I give our numbers out pretty regularly.
Yeah. Well, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. But I'm going to tell you, I reach out to people like that. I know people reach out to us like that, and they're just afraid. But see, we know certain things in our life. So here's another thing that every one of you can write down in addition to what you read, who you associate with, and what you listen to. And that is, everything is evolved around helping other people get what they want. Yes. And if they do, you will get what you want.
Yeah, man. If you live in live a life of gratitude. Also, Laurie Holter and I did a great episode on.
Oh, what amazing one.
She is a freaking godsend of a human being. Man, love her. But just like, if you're not living in a sense of gratitude, and then also surrounding yourself with people that are also living in a life of gratitude. And if you get in this scarcity mindset of just, hey, I'm going to only serve me, you also are going to fail. And you're also going to want to surround yourself with people that are just going to suck the life out of yourself and others. So surround yourself with people that you want to be like. Do you want to be around people that are going to serve other people? You want to be around people that are going to serve other people? Okay, going back to you driving the Cadillac, like there are obviously people talk about vision boards all the time. Okay,
Yep.
what is it you want to be? Is it the millionaire you want to be? Okay, but why do you want to be that millionaire? How are you going to get there? By serving other people. So surround yourself with people that are those type of people. Because if you continue to surround yourself with people that just talk shit about people,
Yeah.
then you're going to do the same thing about that. So surround yourself with those people. Like it's, you're taught as a young kid to, your peers, whatever your peers are doing, you're going to do the same thing. And I don't think that we really grasp that,
No, I
but
don't.
it's so true. Whatever your peers are doing, you're going to do the same thing. So it is so crucial that whomever you're surrounding yourself, that you're going to be the same person. Just please be mindful of that.
This is a hard drive. And, one of the things I realized early on is that drugs and alcohol aren't my problem, and they're not your problem either if you're struggling with that. They were the solution. The problem was me, between here and my heart. That was the problem. I started at such an early age that it took a long time to actually dig through all the crap and all the blaming and understanding the origin of where things came from, and how, it's like we could tell a story over and over and over again, and it morphs and metastasizes into something that it probably wasn't really. That's my experience. But here's something that never changes: how it made you feel. My dad was very successful, as one example, climbing that ladder of success, and he gave me everything that I wanted, Brooke, but nothing I needed.
Yep.
And that started a resentment, and I was anti-established, and it just grew from there. And when I got high for the first time, that was the solution. It changed everything. I was uninhibited, and but then it's like evil passes your door as a stranger. You invite it in as a friend, and it soon resides and takes over as master. And it owned me. That's what it did. It owned me. And I realized that people, places, and things I consumed to fill this insatiable hole that I had in myself. And the more I consumed, the larger the hole got. I never could fulfill. And then I realized in that aha moment that I had, that I already had everything that I needed, that I realized that the grandest illusion that I still struggle with every day, incidentally, is that I can control people, places, and things, and I cannot, and neither can you. All we can control is how we act and react to those people, places, and things. This 3-foot area that I'm in control of. But I realize it's important in that everything's an inside job that manifests itself out. I had the rare opportunity to Zig Ziglar's my hero. Okay. And a few years before he passed away, I was invited by his staff member, and he's always there in Monday morning in Dallas, because that's where I live, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And they asked me if I wanted to come in and lead the devotional for Zig Ziglar and his staff on a Monday morning. What an honor that was, man. I mean, that guy right there, anybody's been in automotive while knows who Zig is, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And,
Dang. That's impressive. Man, that could have been on the question later on. I had no idea about that. Okay.
I love this stuff, but I love automotive. And I made all of this work in automotive, where some people say that you can't do that in automotive because of the type of people that are involved. No, we're a close-knit community, man. We are.
Okay, I want to go big picture here. Like, we've talked about some really heavy topics here, and I want to go a little step further on this.
Okay.
So looking to the future, what legacy do you want to leave on the automotive marketing space? And the follow-up to that is going to be, what about the fixed ops marketing in general? So automotive space, and then on your company itself.
So I have a big dream. My partner and I, when we decided that we were going to build this company, and success is a progressive realization of a worthwhile dream, but it has to go from vapor to paper. It has to go from vapor to paper. So the legacy I want to on the leave is that fixed ops marketing and all the different assets that we have incorporated under the marketing umbrella, we want to leave a lasting legacy that we were a part of a major transformation in fixed operations in a way that it hasn't been left before. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Now, what's really hard to explain is this. Do you remember the phones everybody had in 2006? Yeah, Palm Pilots, Blackberries.
Blackberries, yes.
Most people had flip
Auto
phones.
cues, yes.
You had to go 123A, 123B, whatever.
Pretty,
to check.
yes,
Right.
yes.
So picture in 2006, this is an iPhone a year before it came out. Try to explain that to the population because there's no reference point.
There's
That what's going to happen when it's going to revolutionize the world, and it did. That's the kind of mark. Of course, I'm not Steve Jobs, but that's the kind of mark. We did a lot of the same drugs though. But that's the kind of mark that fixed ops marketing wants to leave, because a lot of people have a preconceived notion of who we are and what we do. But because of people like you and many others in the industry that are like-minded, we're raising the bar. And because of all the advertising and social media stuff we do, people are starting to figure it out. There is a paradigm shift that's going on in automotive right now. And you and I are part of that revolution.
I love it. And I love that we just dated ourselves by talking about Palm Pilots and Blackberries. So that's awesome, by the way.
Right?
So like, hold up, what was that? Like, we just saw the movie come out. What was that? Yeah, well, okay, yeah, awesome. So, yes, great, by the way. They're like, yeah, remember the razors? And I was like, you said phones. I was like, is he going to go with rotary phones here? Is he going to go with, what phone is he talking about here? I had no idea where you're going with that one there.
Motorola, the Moto, right? The
Moto razors, man. Those were awesome. Those batteries.
They were,
I had the pink one with the Bluetooth.
Oh, yeah.
Rocking that thing.
It's great.
Oh, it was a great one. Oh, it was such a great phone. Oh, good times. Okay, so let's go. I want to take this a step further here. So we've talked about changes. I want to transition this a little into dealership world now. So you and I both know that dealerships get a little timid sometimes about making changes about when it comes to their marketing and their operation every so often. It just happens. Brooke, we've done it this way all the time. We've done it this way always. We're never going to change. We hear that sometimes, like all the time, actually. So how do you, at Fixed Ops Marketing, convince them to get out of their comfort zone and actually evolve?
COVID really changed everything. We rolled our company out, our first product out a month before COVID hit. And, we're talking about worldwide sales shutting down. Service was essential. Yeah. This started a different type of thinking because we were forced to think out of the box. 80 to 85% of the general managers out there, because I was one of them, grew up on the variable side, knew enough just about fixed operations to be deadly, but knowing that if I didn't surround myself with somebody who was a guru at that, then there was going to be some really challenges. There's more, I think, that in the next 2 or 3 years, there's more money to be made in fixed. It's the second largest profit center for the dealership. And a lot of dealerships, it's the single largest profit center. I mean, people think we make money. Last few years have been pretty good for automotive, but overall, as a general rule, when it's highly competitive and people have inventory, you're not making a lot of money. So things have to change. And I don't know if that answered your question, but it's part COVID helped open the door to think about some things that are different. And the reason why is we've done it to ourselves over the last 22 years. NADA says for every franchise dealer, Brooke, there's 16 non-franchise entities salivating, lying in wait to take that business from us. Goodyear, Firestone, BF Goodrich, Pep Boys, Costco, Walmart, Firestone, Jiffy Lubes, National Tire, and Battery. They're everywhere.
Yes, they are.
Well, we want to be a part of the revolution to take that back, and dealers are starting to figure that out now, don't you think?
Yeah, it's so one of the things that drive me bonkers is I was actually doing an audit for a client, hopefully soon to be client. And we're going through just their Google business profile, and they actually did a really good job with their service listings and their parts listings. And
unusual, but yeah.
Well, exactly. But too often I'm just like, their sales listing looks great. I'm like, and then your service and parts listing is a redheaded stepchild. I'm like, do you understand that you can take out all of those, the Jiffy Lubes, all of those, you can take those out if you'd actually pay attention to that stuff, but you just let it sit on the shelf because why? But that also then is a reflection of what you think of the in-house. When you let that sit over there and do absolutely nothing with it, you don't optimize it. You don't send people to go review it. You don't have your listing set up, your primary and secondary. You don't have any type of, you don't do anything with it. All you're telling is your fixed ops and your variable, your anything on there is you're just saying, we don't really care about you. We don't really do anything about it. What are you?
I know they don't understand. And now, change is really the only constant. And I found in my life, wherever I resist change the most
Mm-hmm.
is right where I need to change.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But see, you're a part of bringing that. So dealers, I'm going to use tires. Okay. I remember a time where dealers got into the tire game and it quickly went to the wayside because they couldn't be competitive, or it was leadership or whatever the case may be. As a result, we have 1,600 discount tire franchises around the country. Can they really sell tires any cheaper than we can? No, they can't. It's the long game. So if they buy, that's the single largest purchase they're going to make during the warranty period. If they buy a set of tires from you, 67% of those people are going to continue doing service with you, and they're going to buy another new or pre-owned vehicle from you. So what is it about Discount Tire? We got to think long game, not short game. Discount Tire, I'm telling you, they are phenomenal at tires, wiper blades, and rims. That's where it ends. Nobody's better equipped to handle any and all major repairs or recommended maintenance than you franchise dealers out there.
Yeah. And if you've ever, anyone that's watching this, I'm sure at some point you went on to finagle and watch and see how easy it is and seamless it is to work with Discount Tire. Now go to your website. Tell me how easy and how much you want to pull out your hair and to try to see. I just want to see what my tires cost. I want to see, hey, what is the make? It is like giving up my first unborn child. Like it is so frustrating just to see what the tires are. Does it match? And like then you put like even the stores that I've seen that implement it, it's still like the prices are incorrect. I try to put my year, make, and model, and the things flip. It looks like a website from 1920, which websites weren't even invented then. But I'm like, this is why people are flocking to other independents or to a Discount Tire, because they're making it so damn difficult for them.
Oh, that's why you and I are in business.
That's right.
Now, we also know there's a lot of trends happening. People love videos. Everybody watches videos. Okay.
Yes.
And that's what we do. We have very custom video content for each and every kind of service there is. So there's 4 profit centers on the dealership's websites. And I talk to a lot of people that are looking at their competition's website, but they're not looking at their own.
No.
Or redirects, forbidden, this and that. So you got all 4 of your profit centers: new, used, parts, and service. Try to find parts or service. Now, here's what you see. Nothing here at this time, check back later, static images a customer can't do anything with, or a handful of coupons you might be able to link to scheduling service. But what most of you don't know, 77% of people don't complete the service scheduling process.
Too damn hard.
Right.
It's too damn difficult.
And all you have is a price for that special, that coupon, or that offer. You're not doing anything different than Pep Boys or everybody else down the street. So we have a very unique opportunity with EV and what's happening in fixed operations in the next 3 years to completely transform and take all that business back. And I got to tell you, they're shaking in their boots because we're doing it right now. We're in the process of this paradigm shift. Our rules and regulations that establish the boundaries we have are changing and shifting. So kudos to all of you out there that are getting it. Because if you're watching this right now, it means you know Brooke and the people she surrounds herself with and what she does to help you go to the next level.
Okay, so we've talked about, and I love this, we've talked about taking risks, pushing the comfort zones. How have you done this with fixed ops marketing in general? And what did you learn from your experience? Because we've talked about all this great thing with fixed op marketing. I want to know how you've done that with your business in general.
Well, we know this. When we started building this out, we wanted to do something different. We realized there's a few fundamental challenges. People in fixed operations aren't marketing people. They have a love and passion for what they do, but they're handling advisors and technicians and half the usernames and passwords to the programs they have, they don't even use or log into. So when we went into this, was one thing in mind, that we wanted to transform that with no usernames or passwords unless they wanted it. So like Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When I start talking to people, I start with the end in mind, because we know what they're thinking. Oh my God. 3 months later, we've all had great vendors that they fall short, and you say that 3 months later, 6 months later, controller's going, what are we paying this? I'll cancel it. It doesn't work. No, it does work. Okay. But we didn't do what we needed to do on the dealership side. Every day we had to do something, or once a week we had to log in and do something to ensure that we achieved the desired results. So our stuff works independently of that. So the next thing we wanted to do is we wanted to instill videos with this type of technology to take that completely out of their hands. So this is the kind of stuff we do now: autoplay videos, custom dealer branded videos, SEO, Google business profiles, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok. We do paid search as well, conquest emails, internal emails. We cover the whole gamut, a full solution for the dealership. They're not going to do it themselves, Brooke.
No.
They're just not going to do it themselves. And so it's taken a while for that education. So why are they starting to pay attention now? Because of EV. Who can work on EVs? And don't even get me started on some of the EV stuff, but who can work on the franchise dealer is in a position right now because the independents are not able or equipped to handle working on electric vehicles. We also know this: 70% of the people I talk to tell me by the defection rate starts at 7 to 12 months. And by the time we get to the end of the warranty period, 70% of those customers are gone. 7 out of 10 are gone to those places because of us.
Yeah.
We're not transparent. So now here's where the future's going. Transparency. A lot of great products out there. When you roll across the threshold of the service department, it knows the camber and toe. It knows the wear, and it knows the tire inflation. It does videos around for dings and dents, so you're not blamed for that. That's the first stage. Second thing is when it's on the rack, video MPIs. Powerful stuff. Yeah. When you see that, you need pads and you need your rotors turned, you just tell the customer that, they think you're going to take their head off. Okay, so hey, now you got a video that your rotors are scorched. I mean, it's obvious. The pads are below what they need to be. Your safety is important to you. It's okay to let these customers know that. And then as far as pricing, there's companies, Repair Palette is a good one.
Oh, love them.
I love them, because they're very transparent in pricing. You may not be the best, the cheapest or the most, but you're going to fall right in the middle because they know what everybody else in your area, because it's a subscription you pay for, of what's being charged. So if you handle it that way, but let's go back to the very beginning. Why don't you walk up to the customer, smile with a name tag on, and say, hello, my name is so-and-so. What is your name and how can I assist you today?
In the human business.
Yeah. And say their name right. I can't tell you how many people when I'm meeting for the first time, if I'm not sure, I said, is it pronounced this? I like to get it right. They go, yes. So many people get it wrong. Okay. That kind of, get them talking about themselves.
Oh, I love it. So, and to your point, like, one, like, people never pronounce my name correctly. Like, it's crazy that I get Brooke. Like, people can usually, I still can't get people to spell my name right, but Furniss, like, I'm like the heater, just spelled differently. So it's Furnass. I'm like, no, it's not Furnass. It's Furniss. No, Furniss, like the heater. So it's very true. People love talking about themselves. So we've talked about a lot of different things here. One thing in particular is the leadership portion of it. And too often is that they see a lot of people from the outside looking in think that, oh, they're a CEO, they're a founder, they're a podcast, they have their shit together. I'm like, no, I do not have my shit together, not even close. Mm-hmm. So for our listeners, when you're like the leadership sometime at the top, it can be really, really lonely. And so for you, who do you turn to when you have those fears or you have those doubts as a CEO? Maybe just in life gets a little, a little dark sometimes, or just like, man, it has been a rough day. Who are you turning to, maybe as a CEO or maybe just in life in general?
It depends on what it is. I have different go-to people for different things, but you're right though. The higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. And I'll just use one example. I had an idea. I wasn't sure about the idea. So I reached out to a gentleman who's become a good friend of mine, a friend, not a good friend. We're establishing that more and more. John Traver. All of you out there know who John Traver is. I went through his boot camp back in 1996. Okay. That's how the guy is a guru. And it's multiple companies with him and Bob Gower. I think he had Bob Gower on not too long ago. So depending on what it is, I go to people like that, ask them some questions. And so I reached out to him, and so happens his corporate office is about 35 minutes south of me. So he scheduled an hour and a half to meet with me. We didn't really talk much about business. We talked about life. We talked about what's going on. And at the very end, because I did have something I wanted to run by him, he asked me what it was. And he pointed out some I listen to people like that because I'm in a place now in our company. I've never been here before. It gets a little challenging, a little scarier sometimes with time blocking and just the sheer volume of meetings. And I don't want to let people down, but I know sometimes I do. And so it's important that I learn how by other people that have been there way higher. They've all gone through the same things. They're so easy. Sandy Sarand. There's so many different people that you can go to out there and ask, hey, how did you overcome this? This is the challenge I have. We live for that kind of stuff. You might think we don't. We want to help you if we can. We're not saying you have to do it this way or that way, but share your experience, your strength, and your hope, some ideas and suggestions, and let us go to work and try to implement some of those things. That's what I do when times get really tough. And right now, the times are really, it's like, man, I mean, I'm up at 3:50 every morning. I'm online with Glenn Lundy at 4:30 and other clubhouses. I spend about 3 hours. My first meeting's 8:15 with our director of client services. And then so it begins. Emails pile up, text messages. I can't respond to everybody. And so I'm starting to change that because of some people that I just mentioned to you. I've trained people over the years because this is my third company. I trained people over the years. If you email, if you text, if you call, I'll respond right away, or I'll pick up the phone, or I'll send a reply to the email. I can't do that anymore. But I've trained everybody. This is who I am. And some of them aren't really happy with it, but there's certain people I respond to with, because you know what I'm talking about. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's different. I'm learning a lot right now about that.
And you go back to like these mentors that sometimes these friends that you've had, and I know who mine are, that they're like my good, like almost like I would call them best friends, but they've also been these mentors to me as well. And it's like these mentors that are still my best friends. And they're also going to be like, Brooke, you need to be told that this is not the best way to do things. And this is also, have you thought about doing it this way? And I can pick up the phone, and I know this one I can pick up the phone and be like, I need to hear no from you, and I'm doing something incorrectly. And they'd be like, yep, that's not the way to do something. Nope. And so when you're looking for these, whether there's friend, but just make sure, to your point, is just to have these people in your corner that are not the yes man and not the yes ma'am. Like, have those people in your corner to be able to be 100% honest with you, or you just don't surround yourself with people.
Very powerful. I have a little story to illustrate that. So so-and-so's going through a divorce, right? They don't really understand. It's not her fault or his fault or whatever. It works together. But so and I've seen this. I was one of these people. I'm disgruntled. I think it's over. And here's the three people I talk to. Somebody that's not in a relationship, wrong person for advice.
Yep.
Somebody that's in and out of relationships all the time, wrong person to talk to for advice. Or the third one is in a relationship and it is a sick puppy, okay? And they're in the OR, okay? Because they're on life support. Not going to go talk to those people because we're going to hear a reinforcement of what we're thinking, which is negative anyway. That you're right. We need to go to people that'll say, hey, you're wrong, brother.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear it, but
hard, cold facts.
That's important to our growth, your growth, my growth, all of you out there. It's important to hear the truth. And sometimes it can be pretty ugly. And sometimes there might be an agenda for that too. You just got to be really careful. My wife still thinks I'm too naive and gullible and too trusting, but it works for me. I believe in giving people a second chance because a lot of people gave me a second chance.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just knowing at what point is this person doing damage to you and your being and those around you.
Yeah. I think one of the things I try to practice every single day of my life today is that when I'm reacting to somebody, if you're emotionally distraught, you cannot process things logically. So if you're talking to clients and you're jacked up, okay, or you're talking to your significant other and you're jacked up, first thing is we want to attack the person that's closest to us. And that is so wrong because it's not about them. I don't care what they did. You need to own it. Yeah. It's your own feelings, your own fear. They're not right or wrong. But when you start saying things and doing things, and you're in control of that, you can't take that back once it gets out. You can say, oh, it's water in the bridge. I've forgotten to apologize.
No.
Brother, you put it out there. Be careful how you talk to people.
No, and those words cut deep, man.
They do.
They're in there
They
deep.
do. Right.
It's in the bloodstream at that point. So
Yeah.
it is. All right, Russell, we are at that point of the show where
Already?
into the lightning rounds. We are into the lightning round with Russell B. Hill. So, Russell, first, for those that are watching, they can see your personalized link here. But those that are listening, how can they get in touch with you? How can they find you?
I'm going to give you my cell number, 903-819-5253, or you can email me at Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's, at fixedopsmarketing.com, and that's FIXEDOPS marketing. Russell at fixedopsmarketing.com. You can find me everywhere. Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere, but the primary go-to for me is LinkedIn. So that's how you get a hold of me. If I can help any of you in any way, I'll be more than happy to. So reach out. And
he honestly, like LinkedIn, he's everywhere on LinkedIn. There's just Google him.
Thank you, Charity.
Thank you, Charity. Huge shout out, Charity and Patrick. Keep up the amazing work.
Right.
And if you look, like, I think there's only one Russell B. Hill. He's got the little stars on him. You'll see him. And once again, it's in the personalized link. Just scan the code. You'll see him. He's going to be everywhere. Like, check him out. So yes. All right. Name of the show is Facts, Not Feelings. So how are you differentiating facts from feelings, either in your personal life or it can be in your professional life?
So we think, we feel, we act. Doesn't work any other way. Okay. Feelings, I think people sometimes think that people are judged by their feelings, or you judge yourself by your feelings. They're not right or wrong. We have a gamut. We go through them all day long, the different kinds of feelings. When you act on those, you're going to make some horrible decisions. So the facts are, if you make a decision and you're emotionally distraught or under duress, it's probably going to be the wrong decisions. And that's the facts. Now, all day long, we hear this chatter in our heads. All of us do. It's like constant chatter. People think that we're victim to that chatter. No. You need to understand. Think about it. You're behind that chatter, watching it take place. You dictate where it goes. The good stuff, the bad stuff, whatever. I know that you're going to move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. Those are facts.
Amen. All right, let's go with, just because I saw this question, I go, he's going to have to expand on this a little bit. Tell us, the audience, something that maybe most might not know about you.
Well, when I say most, it's probably 99%. So I had an assumed name for many years, and I changed my name from driver's license, Social Security, birth. I did it legally because I was wanted in a couple of states that we'll all talk about another time.
Okay.
So I got to tell you this real quick. So I was working at a real prominent Toyota dealership as somebody else. I mean, I put myself into the system and everything else. And 3 years later, almost 3 years, I got arrested at the dealership because of my ex-wife who turned me in. I was too trusting on who I was and where I was working as we were trying to figure things out that never got figured out. So I got arrested, and it was in Texas, and I was wanted for probation violation, and then I was wanted for trafficking and conspiracy in another state. Well, within 3 months, I got all that worked out, ended right back up at the dealership where I worked as somebody else, and they hired me back as Russell Hill and promoted me to leasing manager.
No.
Yeah.
That alone is the book itself right there. That is an incredible story.
That's all I'm gonna say. There's a lot more to that, but it's all part of that. But yeah, I had an assumed name, and it's not easy to do.
No.
To completely change your identity. It was difficult. But it's part of my story. It's part of who I am. No regrets, but I remember where I came from. Yep. So it keeps me in check on a day-to-day basis.
That is incredible. That sure thing on that one. Like, anyone that says they have regrets, to me, that's something. I don't believe in that, because that is going to make you who you are today.
That's
like, right. Do I go back and look and say, yeah, that sucked? I don't know if I'd actually want to go back and do it again. But if I didn't do that, it doesn't put me where I am at this, to your point, exactly right. Where I am today. Like, I had to go through that hell and all that hell to make me who I am today. And for me, I'm grateful for it. And it's taken a lot to get me to say that, but I'm 100% grateful for all the shit that I had to go through to get me where I am.
I don't think most people understand what you just shared, Brooke.
Yeah.
No, well, no, I do regret. Regrets will hold you back.
They will
hold you back. If you remember how you felt or what happened that you regretted, you can't change it.
No.
You can identify with the feeling, how it made you feel, so you can put yourself in certain situations where you go, I don't want that again. And if you do some of the things that Brooke and I have been talking about, things will get better and better and better. And I'm telling you, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And if somebody's telling you that you can't, you better check who you're associating with.
Once again, leave that circle and go into another circle. Get out of that room, because you're not associated with the right people.
That's right.
All right, let's go with, just because also I love this car. So what is your favorite car? Because that's makes me a little, love this car.
I have so many different ones. Mercedes S550.
Oh, wasn't on there, but that's still a phenomenal car. Yeah. Man, I love that car. Love it. If you could go back and give yourself any advice, what would it be?
I wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is because at 18 years old, brother, I had it figured out and I didn't listen to anybody. Now, Dan sure wasn't going to listen to the future me, because I had it all figured out at 18. Yeah.
Russell, it has been such a pleasure to have this conversation. It's just a needed conversation. And I say that, and I know I say that a lot, but this is a conversation that, it's not probably a normal conversation. You watch the show enough to know it's not a normal conversation we have, but it's a much needed conversation. I hope that those that are listening, that you take it to heart and do something with it today. And I know we close out the show and say, serve today, find a way to serve. And this is something that's, maybe it's just serving yourself today. Maybe it's taking that moment to just say, all right, I need to look inwardly a little bit and maybe work on me today. And maybe that's what you need to do.
If you don't like yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't trust yourself and you don't believe in yourself, you can't give something away that you don't have.
Nope.
Quit pretending that you do if you don't. So it is an inside job. If you don't have these things, you can't really serve and instill that in other people. They'll know you are a fake. They'll know it.
100%.
That's not the right way to serve. This has been really fun. I appreciate everything that you do and how you contribute to this industry and the people you surround yourself with. And dealers need somebody like you to go through and help them understand. They really do. And I know sometimes the things you say are the brutal truth, but they need to hear it. They're ready to hear it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Thank you. I'm honored and humbled to have spent the time that I did today with you and your audience.
Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate it. All right. Well, Russell, once again, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And everyone, as you know, at this point, find a way to serve today, whether that is opening a car door, whether that is a kind smile. Just find a way to serve and be the joy in someone's life. Just do something good. And as we said earlier, based on this episode today and based on this conversation with Russell today, that might be working on yourself. Because as we said, that's also, you cannot truly love somebody until you love yourself. So just find a way to serve today, everyone. And with that, everyone, we will see everybody next week.